in real time, we are witnessing the collapse of the United States. Now, one of the reasons I stated in my previous video of why it's going to happen is that they make you think it is in your own interest for it to happen. They get you to willingly accept it. Another reason is because people would rather be right in their own mind than accurate. As humans, we all have egos, some higher than others. It's good to have a healthy ego. It helps you persevere during hard times. It causes you to want to achieve in the gym, achieve academically, achieve financially. It helps you to move forward. However, if your ego is larger than your achievement, that is when you have what you call delusions of grandeur. It means that you think you're better than you really are. And I've seen so many people who are cocky that haven't accomplished anything. Like some people, like George Patton was cocky, but he was a great general. Michael Jordan was cocky, but he's the best player of all time. Like there's a certain amount, even LeBron James, I don't like the guy, but he's cocky and he thinks a lot of himself. At least he's accomplished a lot in his specific field. He's one of the best to ever do it. But there are certain people that are cocky without accomplishment. They've been told all their lives that they're good at this. And when somebody is better than them, kind of like when you think you're the best basketball player and somebody beats you, rather than accepting it, they want to play again. They want to play again. Or you fouled me. Or it's like when people blame the referees when their team loses when clearly they were outplayed simply because their ego does not want to admit that they were defeated. And this happened tonight. I was on an app called Stereo, and I was explaining this interesting paper that I read. It's called The Age of Empires. Read it for yourself. It's very interesting. It talks about how all these different countries, the British Empire, the Spanish Empire, the Mongol Empire, the United States, and the Arab Empire, all have went through or are currently going through similar stages. It was comical because I was talking about the decline of America. That was the title of my podcast, my show, whatever you want to call it. And this guy comes into my show and he says something about, the reason America's going to hell is because all you effing white people. And I responded to him, this isn't unique to white people. I've read about different countries. I read about the culture of the Arab Empire. I read about the British Empire. I read about the Mongol Empire. I read about the Spanish Empire. It has nothing to do with race. It's just about how cycles happen. And instead of admitting he was wrong, instead of admitting that he didn't do his research, he responded back. He said something to the extent of, you white people crack me up. So it's all about race. He's preconditioned to think about race. Maybe in the past, somebody of a different race hurt him, so he has trauma, PTSD. Maybe he just watches the media and believes everything they tell him about how he's a victim. I don't know. I don't care, frankly. For some reason, he's just like, white people are bad. No matter what they do, no matter what they say, they're bad. So this guy goes on this entire tangent about, haha, you white people crack me up. You know all the facts, you know all the statistics, you know all the evidence, but you're not going to do anything about it. And I responded back to him, it's so easy just to say, white man bad, just like with Trump, orange man bad. Was he bad? Some things he did were bad, some things he did were good. But the president, past or present, is not the solution to all your problems. He's not the cause of all your problems. It's easier just to blame one person, Putin, blame Trump, blame Biden, blame white people, rather than looking at the CPI, rather than looking at the history of Spain, rather than looking at the Bureau of Labor Statistics, rather than looking at global supply chains. That it actually takes intellect. It actually takes research. It actually takes effort on your part to understand. Any conflict you read about, whether it's the Civil War in America, whether it is the Spanish Empire falling, the price of a stock even, all of it takes a long time to transpire. And you have to understand why. There are economic reasons, there are societal reasons. There are all kinds of reasons to know about. Understanding that, researching that, making yourself more educated about that takes effort. And I even told him too, I said, here's the thing, man. It's easier today more than ever in the age of information to know what the hell you're talking about. It's not that hard to know. You can research on your phone. Go to Wikipedia and type in the history of Spain. You can go on YouTube if you're too lazy. This guy's pretty lazy, obviously, because he's just like white man bad. Go on YouTube, type in history of the Spanish Empire. You can go to the public library, pick up a book about it. You can buy a book if they don't have one. I wanted to know more about Africa because you don't hear a lot about it. I have a book about the history of Africa. You can buy it. Think about it. $20 is the price most people spend going to the movies, going out to eat, going on a date, getting a bottle of liquor. Just take a little bit of that money and get a book. Read. And that was my suggestion to him. And then he said something to the extent of, we have all these, well, one of the things he said was, we have all these military groups and all these people that are wanting to overthrow the government. And I'm no fan of that, because here's the problem with that. I even told him this too, because he doesn't know anything about history. He just knows white people are bad. He doesn't actually know anything. He's not that smart. But here's the thing. He's probably said some stuff before, and people told him he was smart. And because he's been told that, because someone else knew more than him, instead of admitting it, his ego got hit with a sledgehammer. When you get rid of a regime, it creates a power vacuum. After the fall of the Roman Empire, Europe went into the Dark Ages for over 100 years. It took them 100 years to match the standard of living that they had under Rome. The Tsar was bad of Russia. He was nowhere near as bad as the Soviet Union. You removed the Tsar under the guise of a utopian society. You had Lenin take over, and then Stalin, who killed alone in 1 month more people than the Tsar killed his entire reign. In France, you had the French Revolution. And then, of course, Napoleon ended up becoming emperor. You can't just say, let's remove this, create a power vacuum, and then within the vacuum, it sucks in a new type of government. You can't just say that. And, of course, he didn't respond back. And he was really angry the whole time. It's like, I'm not even that smart, man. It's so easy just to do research, just to look at evidence. It's not that hard to learn this stuff, man. It's really not. But instead of wanting to learn it, instead of doing his own research, he just got angry. And that's his right, I'm all for free speech. I would never block someone. If somebody was just being an ass, I would, But if somebody disagrees, the stupider they are, the dumber they are, the more intelligent it makes me look. So I never understood the notion of censorship. If somebody disagrees and they're intelligent, we'll have a dialogue, civil discourse, a productive conversation back and forth. If somebody's stupid, but they disagree, they don't know what they're talking about, let them speak, And the dumber they are, the more intelligent I look by default. But that's one of the reasons our country is going to go down the tubes. Number one, as I stated in my previous video, is that they're going to make people think that America's racist, sexist, homophobic, white people are bad, so we got to get rid of the Constitution, get rid of the country. It's all about getting rid of the foundations. But the other reason is because when I point this out to people, like that guy who thinks he's intelligent, who thinks he's intellectual, then he's going to get defensive. What's also comical as well, I remember I was talking to that guy in another conversation who was telling me about how Bitcoin, how Dogecoin, how crypto was the future, how crypto was going to go up, how if I just took my money out of stocks, I took my money out of the fiat currency, which of course I agree is not the right way to go, but then I will end up becoming a millionaire. Well, what happened, buddy? Bitcoin, after reaching 60,000, has plummeted. Dogecoin has plummeted. Ethereum has went down. The problem is that guy thinks he's intelligent and he's really not. It's not that hard to be educated on a topic. It's really not. And I'm not necessarily mad at him. He can think what he wants. My problem is people like him are going to lead to the loss of the country because they would rather be write and smell their own fucking shit than actually be accurate about what's going on.